What is going on, everybody? It's Cam Jam here, bringing you another prediction video, this time for week 2 of the NFL season. Week 1 came and gone. We saw a lot of upsets, we saw a lot of comebacks, we saw a lot of bad plays, but I think generally, all in all, I think pretty much everybody around the league was generally happy with how their respective teams played, especially considering there was no real training camp, no preseason. So it was a good week 1 with all things considered. Before we get into week 2 predictions, I do want to just say if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe. If I have your favorite team losing or winning, make sure you let me know in the comments. And don't kill me. As I said in the last video, these are just predictions. I do this for fun. It's not like I am the all-knowing person when it comes to the NFL. So if I have your team losing or winning, just be respectful in the comments and don't kill me. So yeah, let's get into it. The first game I want to talk about is the game that's about to actually kick off about an hour from now, and that is the Cincinnati Bengals going against the Cleveland Browns. I have Cincinnati losing to Cleveland about 18-30. I think Cleveland, I don't know for sure if they're going to come out like this, but they need to come out like their season is on the line, because if they fall to 0-2 and give a rookie in Joe Burrow his first win of his career, that's going to look really bad for the team. It's going to look real bad for the coaching staff, especially given the fact that they have a new coach at the front. So they need to win this game. They need to act like their season is on the line with this game, and they should probably prove it with about a 10 to 15 point win. I also have the Green Bay Packers getting a 2-touchdown win over the Detroit Lions. I think the way the Detroit Lions lost last week to the Bears, given the fact that they had a double-digit lead, given the fact that DeAndre Swift dropped a game-winning touchdown to end the game, it's going to be really hard for them to come back. Not only would it be hard for them to come back, they have to do it against Aaron Rodgers. So with all that said, they're going to lose by about 10 to 15 points as well to the Green Bay Packers. Next up, speaking of the Bears, I have them taking down the New York Giants 22-17. I feel really bad for Daniel Jones. It's his second year in the league, and his first 2 games of the season, he's going to be going against 2 elite defenses with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Chicago Bears. I have him losing this game. I think he'll probably play somewhat well throughout the game, but his fumbling issues, his turnover issues in general is probably what's going to cost them in a close and tight game throughout. A game that I don't really have being close is the Atlanta Falcons against the Dallas Cowboys. There's nobody on the Cowboys that I think could stop this Atlanta offense. So it could be a 20-25 point blowout. I have them winning by 16, but it could be upwards of 20 to 25 points, like I said. Next up, I have the Tennessee Titans and the Minnesota Vikings taking down their respective AFC South opponents, both by 1 possession games. The Tennessee Titans are going to do it differently than the Vikings. The Vikings are probably going to put a lot of points up on the board, probably take the ball away from Indianapolis, while on the other hand, Tennessee is going to control the game a lot with Derrick Henry. As you see on the screen there, he had the ball 34 times. That's just going to chew the clock down. Even though Jacksonville, they might have a chance to win the game late, I don't really see Gardner Minshew being able to put enough points on the board to offset the fact that Derrick Henry will just dominate them on the ground. And then for the Minnesota Vikings, they are going to be looking to, they played a good game last week. They put over 30 points on the board against the Packers last week, and the Packers don't really have a bad defense. So they're probably going to take what they took from last game into this week and probably get this win over Phillip Rivers and the Indianapolis Colts. Next up, I have Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills again getting a blowout win over the Miami Dolphins. I really thought Miami had a chance to upset New England last week, and the way that they performed just showed me that they don't really have what it takes to be a team that can be upsetting. They have a lot of good pieces. Jerome Baker is a good player. They have some good players on offense, but I think they're just not consistent enough on a drive-by-drive basis, both on offense and defense, to be able to put wins together. And then I have the San Francisco 49ers also taking down the New York Jets. They had a rough game last week where they probably should have won the game, but they ended up losing it late. So I think they'll put that last week behind them and get their first win of the season against the Jets. Next up is the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Los Angeles Rams. And this is where I bring up the fact that if you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, please don't kill me in the comments. This is just, if the Washington football team ends up sacking you 8 times and their biggest name is Chase Young or maybe Ryan Kerrigan, then the team that's led by somebody like Aaron Donald could probably produce the same amount of pressure against your offensive line. A team that's already down Brandon Brooks, it's down Andre Dillard. Jason Peters ended up having a position change about 1 week before the season started. So it's really rough for the Philadelphia Eagles right now. And then I have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking down the Denver Broncos, and will probably be a shootout. Drew Lock and Ben Roethlisberger, I have them going, toe-to-toe for most of the game, but the playmakers that Pittsburgh has compared to what Denver has, it doesn't really match up in terms of Denver's side of the ball. So I have Pittsburgh taking down the Broncos 35-27. Next up, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers getting their first win, and it comes against a divisional opponent in the Carolina Panthers. It's kind of the same thing that I just said between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Denver Broncos. Carolina has some good playmakers, especially when you look at Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, guys like that. But when you compare it to what Tampa Bay has between Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, there's 3 or 4 more names that we could have said between their running backs and wide receivers as well. So I have Tampa Bay taking down the Carolina Panthers for Tom Brady's first win as a Buccaneer. And then I have the Arizona Cardinals taking down Washington in a low-scoring affair. I think Washington will probably produce the same amount of pressure they did against the Eagles. I mean, Arizona's offensive line might be even worse than the Eagles right now. So there's a chance that Washington could be in this game late, but their talent on offense does not match up what Arizona has on offense, and I think that will probably be the needle that tips the scale for the Cardinals. Next is a couple of blowouts. I have the Kansas City Chiefs winning double digits over the Los Angeles Chargers, getting their first division win of the season. And I have the Houston Texans falling to 0-2, getting an almost 20-point trouncing from the Baltimore Ravens. Both the Chiefs and Ravens have too much on offense. This is more comparing Baltimore to Houston's. Baltimore has too many weapons on offense for Houston to be able to stop. You look at what happened last week, a rookie who didn't get a real training camp, who didn't get a preseason in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He still is a good pair, and I'm not saying that he needed a preseason, but a rookie without any preseason and with one of the hardest training camps to really get better at, he went for over 130 yards and got a touchdown on that defense. So what's a team in Baltimore going to look like with Lamar Jackson and Marquise Brown? It's probably going to be even worse for the Texans. And for the Los Angeles Chargers, their defense isn't terrible, but when you lose Derwin James, you lose your guy who can match the other team's best player on offense. They don't really have anyone. Their secondary is still great between Chris Harris and Casey Hayward and Desmond King, but there's too many options for Kansas City and Patrick Mahomes between Edwards-Helaire. You still have Damian Williams. You still have Travis Kelce. You still have Tyreek Hill. You still have Sammy Watkins. There's too many options for this Chiefs team, and it's going to be another blowout for them over the Los Angeles Chargers. Next up is actually a game that I am really, really excited about. I have the Seattle Seahawks taking down the New England Patriots in what could be a shootout that's upwards of 30 to 40 points, but I have these two teams with two actually really, really good defenses. This is the first time, I think, of this season that we are seeing two teams who have probably top 10 offenses as well as top 10 defenses. New England might not be in the top 10 offense range, but with Cam Newton in the fold with the Patriots, he played a really efficient game, both passing and running the ball. They didn't put up a lot of points against the Miami Dolphins, but he did enough, and he was efficient enough at what he was doing. Also, considering the fact it was his first game in a Patriots uniform, I'm really excited for this game. Russell Wilson, it looks like, is being let loose in terms of being the all-world quarterback that everybody knows he is. I have them taking down the Patriots in a 27-23 affair, but again, I really could see this going upwards of 30 to 40 points, just these two offensives going back to back to back, as well as the defense is possibly getting a touchdown for possibly each defense. Stephon Gilmore is still up to his defensive player of the year standing, and Jamal Adams put his name in terms of being a defensive player of the year candidate in last week with his 12 tackles, a sack, and 2 QB hits. So there's a chance that New England, again, there's a lot of games where it could go either way. There's only a couple games I have being blowouts this week, but this is one of those games where it's probably going to go back and forth. Two great coaches, two great defenses, two really good offenses. It's going to be a really good game, and we get to see it on Monday Night Football. So hopefully it ends up being as good of a game as it looks on paper. And that's going to be the video for me. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you hit a like. Make sure you leave a comment down below. If I have your favorite team losing, don't kill me in the comments. If there's anything you think I forgot to talk about, make sure you leave a comment down below. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.